Wild new update in the case against YNW Melly. His ex-girlfriend Mariah Hamilton was arrested this week while trying to enter the country. Her lawyer argues she didn't do anything wrong. So why is she being held behind bars? Well, according to her lawyer, it might have something to do with her ex-boyfriend's double murder case. Now, prosecutors previously claimed Mariah was on the phone with Melly after the fatal shooting of his childhood friends Anthony Williams, aka YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., aka YNW Juvie. Now, before I get into this, she has never been charged criminally when it comes to being involved in the murders. And according to her lawyer, again, she hasn't done anything wrong. But for prosecutors, her name was mentioned repeatedly during Melly's first trial. Again, because they say she was on the phone with Melly after the murders. She was arrested on Sunday while trying to come back into the country. No, she wasn't fleeing from law enforcement or hiding out. Instead, she was doing what most 24-year-olds do, travel to a fun destination for her birthday. This destination just so happened to be El Salvador. And when she returned to the States, Customs ran her information, saw a warrant out for her, called Miami PD, and they arrested her. But her attorney tells me something hasn't been adding up. More on that in just a bit. Now, if you've been following the case, you kind of know the background. For those who don't, Melly was charged with first-degree murder for the 2018 shooting deaths of Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr. Prosecutors claim Melly and his other friend, Cortland Henry, aka YNW Bortland, who were both riding in the SUV with Christopher and Anthony at the time of the murders, staged the shooting as a drive-by. Now, both have denied it, and both have pled not guilty to their charges. But so far, the only one who has been tried was Melly, and we all know how that first trial ended.
The juror inquiry form, it indicates that after further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jurors, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I'm going to do is just declare mistrial because it's mistrial.
The mistrial was declared back in 2023, and now we're in 2025, and Melly is expected to be tried all over again for the double murders of Christopher and Anthony. But back to Mariah. Her involvement within the case, though, has been a roller coaster ride. When the shooting happened, she was just 17 years old. Now she's 24, and she's not even with Melly anymore, and hasn't been for a while. But prosecutors have seemingly been pushing for her to tell them everything she knows about what happened back in October of 2018. Now, her mom, Felicia, winded up taking the stand during Melly's first trial. And her testimony was, well, we can take a look for ourselves.
Good morning, Ms. Holmes.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Not good.
Are you cold?
No, I'm just,
aggravated.
I don't feel comfortable.
Are you nervous?
I feel threatened.
Tell me about Ms. Holmes. I can ask you, did your daughter tell you, did you have a conversation with your daughter about what happened on October 26th of 2018?
Yes, I asked her if she knew anything about that.
No. Did she tell you what happened? No, she didn't.
Just told she didn't know.
Have you ever made a statement that is different than that?
I don't know.
Your Honor, we'd object to lack of foundation, calls for hearsay, speculation, unless they can establish that that witness was present.
Thank you. The objection noted. That's what I previously ruled on sidebar. Proceed.
Ms. Holmes, is it your testimony you don't remember why you came down?
I told you why I came down.
Okay, why is that?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Ms. Holmes, have you ever...
I can't admit, Ms. Holmes, she looked hella nervous up there. Like, she breathing hard. She like, hold up, bro. I'm not trying to be here. She already say she feel threatened. I do see she look very uncomfortable up there.
Let me rephrase. Ms. Holmes, did your daughter ever threaten to cooperate with law enforcement?
Objection.
Sustained.
Ms. Holmes, did you threaten to cooperate with law enforcement?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Different question.
Why don't you come sidebar?
Now, months after that testimony and weeks after that mistrial was declared, Mariah, who didn't testify during Melly's first trial, sat down with our very own Jesse Weber in September of 2023 to give her side of her story.
I think a lot of people wanted to hear from you. I think a lot of people were expecting to see you at the trial. And there's been some issues in terms of what's been happening with the police. If you can explain to people why we haven't seen you or heard from you.
You guys haven't seen or heard from me because I'm currently wanted. Uh, um,
Oh,
I've
she
tried to
been knew
get
she
the
was
warrant
wanted.
lifted plenty of times, but it's just been like a constant battle with my lawyer and the prosecutor. So I just been, laying low trying to get the warrant lifted before I could even come in and, speak my part.
You said that there's an arrest warrant. It's still out. It's still outstanding. Why do you feel comfortable coming out now and talking about this?
Because I just want people to know that I'm not running because of like any money or anything like that. It's because I don't want to go to jail for something that I did. I don't want to go to jail for something that I didn't do or something that I'm not a part of. I just feel like people's looking at my side of this. They're looking at me wrong, and that's not what they're showing is not true. Basically,
So by her saying what they showing is not true, we could believe that the way they making these accusations look, she don't fully agree with them. Now I don't get it how she running, but she still came and did an interview, and the fact that she just got arrested is giving me the vibes that she been gone for that long. So it wasn't just a birthday trip. She been had a warrant, and the warrant lasted this long. I don't know if y'all noticed, but it's years later. Or they just put another warrant out, and she been got the last one lifted.
Last year and months after the mistrial, there's been so many changes to the case. One of Melly's attorneys is no longer on the case, but more notably, the prosecution table will look a lot different for his second trial, when Christine Bradley was removed by the judge and later replaced by Alexandra Buckaloo. Now, Mariah's attorney tells Law and Crime he spoke with the prosecutor about a year ago about whether or not a warrant actually existed for Mariah. He was told previously there wasn't a warrant out, but then when the new prosecution stepped in, he was told there was an active warrant. So you can see how confusing this all got. And now she's being held in jail on no bond until she can get before a judge. I'm joined now by Mariah Hamilton's attorney, that's Chris Barris. Chris, thank you so much for being here today. I got to ask, have you spoken with your client? How is she doing and what's she saying?
I have spoken to her when she was arrested and also when she was transported to Miami-Dade County Jail. She's a little bit older now. She's 24 years old. So she's, it's still hard to be in a jail situation. She's never been in any trouble in her life. But she's okay. She's dealing with it. And we hope to get her in front of a judge very, very, very soon.
And talk to me a little bit more about her arrest. She went out of the country to celebrate her birthday. Did you warn her she might have issues coming back, or did she even know that there was a warrant out for her right now?
We talked about the possibility that there might be a warrant in existence. The prosecutor had, indicated to me at one time that there was a warrant. Other law enforcement had indicated to me that there was no warrant that they could find in the warrant system when they checked. So we did talk about that. I did not think it would be a good idea to travel internationally because what happens is when you return to the United States, immigration, U.S. immigration, that is, will check the manifest of an airline for every passenger to determine if there's any warrants or any other holds on them. And I couldn't say either way whether there was a warrant. So my advice was not to travel at all. Yeah.
And this warrant that the prosecution has, so is it kind of stemming from them wanting to talk to her more about the case, or was this kind of a thing that, had happened with the old prosecution with Christine Bradley and was just put back into effect when Alexandra Buckaloo took over the case? Talk to me a little bit more about this warrant and what it all entails.
Okay. First, we're using the term warrant. My understanding that this is a writ of bodily attachment which is civil in nature. I'm not sure at all what she failed to do. It's not clear because I haven't been presented with this warrant. I haven't seen it, although I've asked for it a number of times. I haven't seen any of the supporting documents for it. What I mean by that is when a police officer wants to obtain a warrant, they go in front of a judge with an affidavit claiming probable cause for, in this case, we're talking about an arrest, for someone's arrest. And they normally also present some supporting evidence for that affidavit. I have yet to see any of this. So, if what the prosecutor is saying, Ms. Hamilton had a court date and she failed to appear, well then, please show me the subpoena that she was issued to appear for that court date. So I think the first question I have is about the validity of the warrant or writ, we can call it whichever. But that is my first question. Was the warrant valid? And if it was not, well, obviously her detention and arrest is not valid either.
Yeah, because I can't imagine, a woman 24 years old, she's locked up on no bond at this time right now. And just all she did was just go out of the country, come back, and then again, just no criminal history whatsoever. I can't even imagine kind of what she's going through right now. Is there any signal that she'll be transported to Broward County anytime soon so she can get in front of a judge?
Right. I checked this morning, and I believe that she was transported this morning. She's no longer on the inmate list for Miami-Dade County Jail. So I expect that she'll be in Broward County by this afternoon. Yeah. And we hope to get her in front of the judge this Friday. I filed an emergency motion asking for this based on her, of course, lack of any criminal history. And I want to be clear, this warrant was not served on her for a crime. She's not accused of any crime. At most, she may have been served a subpoena and failed to appear for a court date. And the warrant, really a writ, is civil in nature. It's not a criminal warrant. So I'd like your viewers to understand that.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go more into that a little bit. So if it's civil in nature, how come she's essentially being treated like a criminal?
I can't answer that. Even in a family law context, this is where we see these writs of bodily attachment most often. So someone gets picked up for, say, they're speeding down the highway, they get stopped by police. Police check their ID. They see that there's a writ of bodily attachment for, failure to pay child support. So they're brought to the jail. I'm not even sure this happens anymore in Florida, but in the past, I've seen this. They're brought to the jail. They're allowed to make good, meaning pay whatever amount is owed, purge, and then they're released from custody. A civil writ is really not meant to be a tool of punishment at all. It's meant to be a tool of compliance.
Check the Discord now.
Ms. Hamilton has always been willing to talk. The biggest problem, the historic problem, has been threats from both the lead detective, Detective Moretti, to arrest her for participation in homicide, and also threats from the former lead prosecutor, Miss Bradley.
You can confirm with us that it definitely has to do with the whole Melly situation in the Melly case.
Threats? That don't sound nice.
Well, again, she's committed no crime, so I have to believe it's over this accusation that she failed to appear for a court date, whether that was for trial testimony, for deposition testimony. I don't know. I've never seen these these subpoenas to corroborate, the prosecutor's statements.
And from what you can tell us, do you think, in your opinion, that they're leveraging her arrest to kind of force her to testify during his retrial?
Of course.
Well, I don't know what their goal is. Ms. Hamilton has never been in hiding. I included this in my motion because I want the court to know that if the prosecutor had really wanted her to participate in trial, or wants to have her participate in the retrial, really a minimum amount of effort would be required to locate her. I mean, she's a public person. Again, she attended school full time. She graduated college. She works at a medical facility. So she's in her phone number, I believe, is also public, in that it's under her name. So she's not hiding from anyone. And I've indicated before that she's willing to talk to the court, to anyone, but the condition is that she's not under threat of arrest for participation in a homicide. And that hasn't changed.
Yeah. And if you can tell us as well, too, has she even spoken with Melly recently? Are they even in communication? You know, we know now that they're no longer together, but is there even a relationship there at this time?
Well, I have.
Come with me to my Botox Cosmetic appointment. I've been getting treated with Botox Cosmetic for about 8 years.
It's almost impossible to talk with Melly at the county jail facility. He's presently incarcerated. I don't believe there's any relationship between the two at this point. I think that ended a long, long time ago. Miss Hamilton's moved on with her life. She's, as I said, she's a college graduate, gainfully employed, going about her daily life like all the rest of us. And now she has to deal with this. And I say deal with it, and unless I can see valid subpoena that was issued to her at one point, how is she responsible for failing to appear in court? Right now, granted, she's never wanted to really get into this participation at trial.
The link is in the description.
Without a subpoena, without a court order to
it should work now. You can click the link. It's gonna work now.
She's not part of this case.
And say that subpoena is served, and maybe they do it in the right way, and by they I mean the prosecution side here. And she has served that subpoena. Will that force her to have to testify during his retrial?
No. Number one, she's been threatened with arrest. I mean, I think she would probably assert her Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Of course, we haven't talked about this yet with the prosecution, but I mean, there's other reasons why the prosecutor might not want to call her. If she's not going to help them with their case at all, why would you call anyone to be a witness? And this is the situation the prosecution was in with her mother, Alicia Holmes.
Yep, and we definitely remember that testimony as well, too. So what all happens from here? You file that emergency motion. What happens next?
Well, the judge has indicated that there is time this week to hear it. Tomorrow, Friday. I'd have to check, and I do plan to check today if we can get her in front of the judge for a hearing on Friday. I think would probably be better. but I talked about these documents that I have not received to review, and they're necessary to prepare a defense for Ms. Hamilton. And talking about the writ of bodily attachment itself for her arrest. I'm talking about the affidavit claiming probable cause for her arrest. I'm talking about the judicial record of the ex parte proceeding that resulted in the issuance of this writ. And I'd also like the names and contact numbers of any witnesses the state expects to present at hearing. I will probably file a motion to that effect today. So it's on the record that I have not been able to obtain these documents to prepare. And I don't have them. They are with the state. And I have requested them before, to no avail.
Seems like a very sticky and dicey situation altogether. Christopher Barris, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Before we sign you off, though, anything else you'd like to add?
I would hope that everyone remembers Ms. Hamilton has not been charged with a crime, accused of a crime. I think that's what the takeaway should be from today.
So basically, they got Shorty locked up. She has no crime. And I guess she wasn't running. She been living her life. She been vibing. But I guess we realize Melly's court date is approaching.